So let's talk about Dune. Dune Part 2 and some of the box office. Primarily Dune, though, because obviously it's its second weekend. What's the box office total now? Just shy of $400 million, just over 3.5. It's done really well. The total number is not epic. It's respectable, but it's the drop-off that's great. And this is what is signifying what I would imagine to be a pretty strong box office up until 2 weeks' time, when Ghostbusters Frozen Empire comes out. I think that'll probably knock it off. But its box office drop-off has been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So that really risky, calculated risk, but risky decision by Legendary has paid off. So we'll dive into this today. Hit subscribe if you're new here, folks. Turn the bell notifications on. And follow me over on Twitter at Mr. H Reviews. But anyway, let's go. So, an article on Deadline. They have always a pretty decent rundown of these things with up-to-date numbers. So, obviously, two things released this weekend. Or, well, one thing released this weekend, which was Kung Fu Panda 4. And then, obviously, it was Dune Part 2 still around. So, it's done well. Dune Part 2 has now crossed, or just hit, $367.5 million, which is, again, a respectable number. The number itself isn't the point. Right? That's the point here. The number itself actually isn't the primary focus of the video. It's good, but it's not epic. What is epic is the drop-off. And that, move the mic, the drop-off itself is what is very important and very reassuring when it comes to the future of Dune. And also I would say Dune Messiah is pretty much confirmed at this point based on these numbers and based on the drop-off. So Kung Fu Panda 4 dropped, obviously. It did okay. I mean, 80.5 million worldwide. It's not incredible. It's done pretty well. It's a pretty long running franchise with Jack Black. And Jack Black recently released a Britney Spears cover, Hit Me Baby One More Time, which is brilliant. Or I think it was Tenacious D, actually, because he's there in the video as well. His co-star of Tenacious D. But Warner Brothers Legendary Entertainment's Dune Part 2 held strongly in its second session. So, yeah, it basically did $81 million, which crossed $200 million overseas. Now it's hit $367.5 million globally. Has started a show in China, which will probably be one of its biggest markets. And I will say Japan will also be one of its biggest markets. And I'm not 100% sure if it's released in Japan yet. I know it's released in China. I know they were both delayed, so I think it may release in Japan at the same time. But it's done really well. And then Universal DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda, it's done okay. I mean, 80.5, it's alright, you know. It's not awful. It's global debut. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't release in China until March 22nd. And then we have it all down here. So this is literally just Kung Fu Panda. We're not going to get into this. I don't really want to talk about Kung Fu Panda too much, but it's done okay. It's just done okay. But again, here we go back to Dune Part 2, because this is what I wanted to touch on. So, because it did a 72% international... an 81 million, 72 international market, that is a 36% drop. 36% drop. That's amazing. A 36% drop-off is really good. That's very, very good. That signifies staying power. It signifies conversation. It signifies discussion. Word of mouth is happening thick and fast. And people want to go out and watch this. There's no special event on. There's nothing. There's no like weird holiday happening. It's just, this is just a movie that's come out and people are talking about it. For it to only drop 36% is absolutely amazing. We do have some comparisons for you as well. So, and it will hit $400 million in no time. And the number itself is not super high, but it's the drop-off that matters. If it continues with that, it's going to do great. So, like-for-like markets and today's exchange rates, the film is tracking 64% ahead of the original movie, 43% higher than Transformers Rise of the Beast, 36% higher than Godzilla vs. Kong, and 3% over Mission Impossible 7. Roughly on par with the Batman. So that's good. That's really good. Notably new this weekend was China, where the movie is distributed by Legendary East. The estimated debut is RMB 142.1, which is $20 million. That's pretty decent. It's not bad in China, ranking at number 2 in the market, narrowly behind Taiwanese title The Pig, The Snake, and The Pigeon. This is the biggest for a Hollywood movie in 2024 thus far, and the best opening weekend ever for Villeneuve and Timothée Chalamet. So the IMAX China network delivered $6.5 million. It's a huge 33% of the total. This has done really well. So Dune 2's overall China launch results were roughly on par with Dune Part 1, as well as higher than the Batman, Blade Runner, 2049, the Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. 330% higher than the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. 772% higher than Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's crazy, isn't it? That's madness. So elsewhere, 72 markets it was doing. It was in France, Germany, Taiwan, Brazil, Holland, Spain, Australia. And you can see how little it's dropped. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. The drop-off is crazy. You know, 17%, 19%, 22, 23, 23, 27, 29, 32, 34, 34, 34, 34, 35. So I guess maybe it's not released in Japan yet. That's a really good drop-off. This will have such good staying power and will just continue to dominate now. Again, I do think, just as an FYI, I think it will dominate up until Ghostbusters is released. And then, of course, we've got Godzilla, Kong, The New Empire. But that's, again, another Legendary movie. And it'll probably be on the same docket. So, same balance sheet. So, how studios release things is they have a balance sheet of all films that they've sort of put under one umbrella. And so, a film can lose money but be considered not a flop because it's on a balance sheet with another movie that earns a lot of money. That's Hollywood accounting for you. I know, I'm aware, it sounds like nonsense, but it is the truth. That is genuinely what they do. That's how they don't get as many failures as, obviously, painfully obvious, is actually the case. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I think this is great news. It's great. This is good. You know, I don't want, you know, a string of Dune wannabes, but this is good for sci-fi. This is good for this type of movie. And it also is good for another movie. And this is interesting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop it down below. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.